Hey race fans, Alex Weaver here. We're going to break down all things Pocono and get you ready for Indy. But first I have to welcome in our championship winning crew chief, Pearn. Cole, we saw the two best cars on Saturday and Sunday go out and win the doubleheaders with Denny Hamlin in the 11 and Kevin Harvick in the 4. Break down what you saw from their strategy plays there.
Definitely. Those cars were the class of the field both weekends, and I think you can expect that. The guys that hit it right on Saturday, they hit it right on Sunday. And like you said, it came down to strategy both days. But Sunday was a little bit more interesting, I think. The 4 opted to go the same route that they went the day before and pitted kind of when the window opened. Gave up that lead, which I thought was interesting. The 11 decided to run longer and take advantage of that clean track. And really those laps that the 11 was able to log out front, I think it was like 15 laps difference between when they pitted, was the difference when it all cycled around. I think the other key when doing that is, the 4 came in, he's on, not as fresh of tires compared to the other cars that have pitted at that caution, has a little bit more trouble overtaking them at times and loses lap time, where the 11's out there logging clean laps. And then he comes in 15 laps later. When he comes out, he's on fresher tires relative to the rest of the field, can overtake more easily, and it's just a distance game at that point. And for the 4 making a great pit strategy call the day before, I think they just felt like they needed to do the same thing again, and that's what they did. And it was kind of a lack of situational awareness in a way, because the 11 capitalized and got the win. I really think the 4 honestly should have won both races. They had control of the race, but they gave it away.
A lot of different strategy plays, and that's always the key at Pocono. I think you needed like 10 notebooks to keep up with what everybody was doing. So was there a pit strategy or just a strategy from a team that you saw that stuck out to you?
Yeah, I think obviously we had the guys up front. And I think the key thing to understand is when you see everyone on different strategies like that is that all you're trying to do is optimize the amount of time that you're in clean track, because Pocono is a momentum racetrack, especially with these rules. You got to be able to take the corners, as quick as you can, and you can do that better when you have clean air. So whatever strategy, no matter where you're running, that nets you more time in clean track is going to be the fastest. And the one that confused me the most, I would say, is the Penske strategy both days. I think the 12 was really good on Saturday and opted to take an odd strategy. And then the 2, I thought, on Sunday was probably the only other car that had the speed to run with the 11 and 4, and then they got on a really weird strategy and ultimately didn't even end up with a top 10. So, I think those guys have to be leaving the weekend scratching their head, maybe think about it a little bit different for when they go back next year.
Not only was it a historic weekend because we saw the NASCAR Cup Series take to the track for a doubleheader in back-to-back days, but it was also the first time ever that all 3 national NASCAR series ran on the same day at the same track. Pretty cool, Cole.
Yeah, I think it was great. Obviously, a lot of racing if you get your fix, that's for sure. But no, I mean a lot of chaos both days. But I think the move of the weekend for sure has to be the 11 strategy at the end of the race, of the second race. So those guys had a strong car, but they pitted right and executed, and that's what got them the win.
I think everybody might be scratching their heads in all 3 of the national series here in NASCAR, because we saw pretty much every team across the board were struggling with no practice. So how key is practice at Pocono, and is that kind of what you can contribute to all the teams struggling, even in Xfinity and Gander trucks?
Definitely. I think practice is a tricky place at Pocono. It's so hard. I mean, you'll find it all the time in practice. You'll be like, oh, we're way off, and you make one small change, and then all of a sudden you go to being a really good car, because it's just all those, with those tight corners and then long straightaways. It's just a small change of getting through that corner a little bit better, and you just exemplify it down those long straightaways. So it's just small changes that it takes from being really bad to being really good. And when you have no practice, you can't dial in on that, and I think that's when you see guys struggle like they did.
Well, 2 teams that didn't struggle, we mentioned it at the start of the show, was the number 4 of Kevin Harvick and the number 11 of Denny Hamlin. If you had to, out of those 2 camps right now, they seem to be the best in the garage and possibly the championship favorites halfway through the season. Who gets the edge for you?
It's a tough call. I mean, I think right now, obviously 11 won at Homestead and then was really fast, so you got to kind of give it to them. But it's still so early, and it's honestly irrelevant, to be honest. I mean, it's great that those guys were strong, and I think you heard it a lot from a lot of people that if you hit it right this weekend in Pocono, is a huge opportunity to get 2 races and get a lot of points out of the weekend, which those guys did. So credit to them. But I think the Pocono, Indy, those tracks are so unique to the rest of the schedule that, you kind of get through them and then you close the notebook on that, and then you don't really open it again until the next year. So to say that has an impact on what's going to happen the rest of the season, you can't. You just be blowing hot air at that point.
If you get it right at Pocono, you can kind of expect to be good at Indy in the following week and this coming up this weekend. So can we expect the 4 and the 11 to be strong, and who else are you keeping your eye at Indy?
Oh, for sure. I think, the 4 was really strong there last year, having a good weekend at Pocono like they did. They're going to come into Indy. I would think is the favorite for sure. I mean, Denny's had some good runs there as well. So, and that team's firing on all cylinders, so they're going to be good as well. It's tough to go outside the usual Indy suspects. I think normally you'd pick a Kyle Busch, but they don't seem to be hitting that great with no practice these days. So it'll be interesting to see. But I think, early off the top, you got to give the 11 and 4 the edge.
We are racing the road course in the NASCAR Xfinity Series on Saturday at Indy. So what are your takes on that?
Oh, I think it's sweet. I love the Indy road course. I think it's super unique. I remember when they used to kind of do the Grand Am race after our practice, and all the work that the track has to do to go through to converting a road course back to an oval for Sunday. At least with no practice, it's a little simpler. But I think it'll be interesting to watch. The track's going to be rubbered in a lot differently with them going backwards through turn 1. Than what it would be normal Saturday to Sunday. So I think that's a bit of a wild card for the Cup guys going in there. I think that's the biggest gamble. Normally that track really rubbers in through the weekend and you see it change, but now you're going to have cars going the wrong way on the track and then coming in blind on the Sunday. Good luck.
Yeah, well, a wild card for sure. Cole, I'm glad it's not you and I doing it. We'll leave it to somebody else. Enjoy your July 4th weekend. A lot of racing in store at the Xfinity Series coming up at Saturday on the Indianapolis Motor Speedway road course. And then the Cup Series will take to the track Sunday, 4 p.m. on NBC. Cole, thanks for joining me, and I'll see you after Indy.
Thanks, Alex.